Hey everybody, my name's Jeff. This is Expert Advice, where I talk to myself because sometimes I need expert advice. Today I'm bringing you guys along for the ride. Today is the story of all the problems we had trying to make sorghum syrup last weekend. It's Friday, the 8th of November. There's a mosquito in my face. And last Saturday, November the 2nd, we tried to make sorghum. Well, we did make sorghum syrup, but we had a bunch of trouble specifically with the pressing operation. Now, right here, I want to show you. You can still kind of see this streak along the ground here. This was the beginning of our problem. See, what had happened, we're using our Farmall Super A. Man, mosquitoes in November. We're using our Farmall Super A with the belt pulley on the rear to drive our press. I noticed when it was running that the belt pulley was spitting oil out. You can see, hopefully, here. So that's the belt pulley there. And in there, hopefully you can see in there how oily it all is. There's a gearbox right here, driven off the rear end of the tractor there. All it does is turn 90 degrees, turns everything 90 degrees over to the side to drive the belt pulley there. But there's a seal on the end of that started leaking. I think the issue was our oil level in there got low, and the oil that remained heated up, and that hot oil could escape out the seal when the cooler oil, if it was full, the oil was cool, it wouldn't be a problem. But since the oil was hot, the mosquitoes will eat me alive, unfortunately, because it's dusk. All right, so we shut the tractor off to add oil to the rear end, to the gearbox for the power takeoff and the belt pulley, and the tractor wouldn't restart. It wouldn't restart. It wouldn't restart. It wouldn't restart. We tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. We checked the spark. It had plenty of spark. A spark at the points. It had a spark at the coil. It had a spark at the spark plugs, but it wouldn't start. Now we tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and hit it 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 until the starter motor locked up. That's where the starter motor would be. The starter motor locked up, which locked the engine and the whole drivetrain up. We even tried dragging the tractor to pull start it, and it wouldn't move. The engine wouldn't turn because the starter motor was locked up. We changed out the coil. Turns out it didn't need the coil, but we changed out the coil anyway. It was getting spark. Our theory, we don't know exactly what's going on with it, but our theory is last week the carburetor was leaking gasoline. Now it's not because it's all leaked out. But our theory is that the float stuck on the carburetor and swamped the whole float bowl until it overflowed, and then the tractor wouldn't start because the carburetor was completely full of fuel. It started fine in the morning, and then the float stuck open, and by the time when we shut the tractor off and tried to turn it back on again, it wouldn't restart because the float bowl was chock full of fuel and it was swamped and couldn't start again. That's just a theory, but it wouldn't run on ether either. So, well, I've been working on the John Deere. We tried the John Deere. I changed out the coil on this That's a brand new coil on it. I changed out the spark plugs. They're new spark plugs. I got the battery in it, and it wouldn't start. Then I pulled it with my truck. It ran for a couple of minutes, not even a couple of minutes. It ran for about a minute, and then it quit on me. It acted like there was a carburetor problem. So the carburetor is going to need to be cleaned. I left the carburetor full of gas last time I was down here, probably 6 months ago, the last time it ran. And I left the carburetor full of gas, and I shouldn't have done that. It was a bad idea. Anyway, so the Super A wouldn't run. The John Deere wouldn't run. Our neighbor has a John Deere that's got a belt pulley on it. It's about 10 years older than ours. Went and checked with him. He said, well, it should start. It didn't. So we only pressed about 80 gallons of juice when we wanted about 120. Normally, this pan, right full to the gunnels, is 120 gallons of juice. Bottom to top holds 120 gallons of juice in an out of focus camera. I carved a spot, you see right there? I carved a marker right there. That's where we were. That's what makes me guess we had about 80 gallons of juice right there. That's my mark I carved in it. That's as high as we got. So that's ballpark guessing about 2/3 full. So I figure we got about 80 gallons of juice we cooked. Even with a bricks of 10 instead of 14 or 15 or 16 like we would normally like to have, even with only 80 gallons of juice, even with all the mechanical tractor issues we had, we still ended up making over 10 gallons of syrup this year. We're in a lucky spot. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great day.